What's good, everybody? I'm BPC and welcome to Competitive Origins MMA. Well, the former middleweight champion of the world, Bobby the Reaper Whittaker, is set to face off against Paulo Costa on ESPN+. Now, one thing these two individuals have in common is that they were both knocked out by the middleweight champion, Israel the Last Stylebender Adesanya. The difference being, though, is that Paulo Costa demanded a rematch after he lost, which we all knew was extremely unlikely considering how uncompetitive the fight was. As we all know, the Last Stylebender was able to impose his will on him, and it was just no match for him until he got the knockout. Now, the middleweight champion Israel Adesanya is set to face off against Jan Blachowicz next month and for the light heavyweight championship of the world, therefore giving him the opportunity to be a champ. Now, Costa's manager has come out and suggested that Paulo Costa and Robert Whittaker should fight for an interim champ title if the champion is not going to be present in the division. You know, he stated that Robert Whittaker also stated that he wanted to fight for the belt for his next fight. So I guess he's trying to say that he's just trying to appease Robert Whittaker. I don't know, guys. I think at the end of the day, he's looking out for his man's best interest. That's what it seems like to me. Now, he also stated that the winner would obviously fight Israel Adesanya for a title unification belt, which would sell a lot of pay-per-views, making it a win-win for the UFC and for the fighters. Now, what do you guys think the UFC did? Yeah, exactly. They did absolutely nothing. They weren't going for it. You know, at the end of the day, Israel Adesanya is a very active champion for the division, and therefore they're not just going to set an interim title fight, you know, when there's no need for it. But a lot of people are wondering, why is Robert Whittaker even facing off against Paulo Costa? After all, you know, he has beaten 2 of the top 5 fighters in the division, and with Dana talking about, you know, Jorge Gamebred Masvidal possibly facing off against Kamaru, the Nigerian Nightmare, for the welterweight championship of the world in a rematch, you know, after, you know, Jorge hasn't done anything yet to earn himself another match, you know, people are kind of scratching their heads. Well, Dana White basically said, you know, he needs to go out there and get one more win before he is eligible to fight for the championship. You know, different rules for different fighters. It is what it is. Jorge Gamebred Masvidal is obviously a big name. He has a lot of drawing power, you know, and I think, you know, Robert probably just dropped the ball after his second victory when he didn't call out Israel Adesanya. He kind of said he wanted to stay at home. He wanted to spend time with his family, you know, and that Israel, you know, that's a really challenging individual. He didn't, you know, make his claim, which is part of your job description, I would say. You know, if you want to be a fighter, that's one thing, but if you want to be a UFC fighter, you got to be able to call people out. You got to be able to get people excited. You know, there's a lot of fighters that aren't at the level of Robert Whittaker that are doing this and that are getting the fights that they want. So Robert needs to change it up a little bit, but as we all know, this is not his character, and he lets his skills, you know, drive his career, and which is obviously very noble. It just might take him a little bit longer to get to where he needs to get to, but I think he's okay with that at the end of the day. Now, I don't know if you guys have checked out Paulo Costa's new slim figure. You know, it's caught a lot of people off guard. You know, this guy was like, you know, incredibly bulky, and now he's more toned down. He still has the muscles, but he's just not very, very bulky. Now, apparently, Paulo Costa has come out and stated that, you know, leading into the Israel Adesanya fight, he had 2 surgeries. And obviously, the surgeries, you know, didn't allow him to work out as much, and thus he put on all this extra weight. So now that he's very healthy, he's good to go, he's able to train properly, and thus, you know, he's looking like a lean, mean machine. Now, the UFC has actually reached out to both individuals and stated that they want to move the fight from ESPN Plus on April 17th to the April 10th date, which would be the headliner of an ABC card. Now, I love that move, absolutely. This is going to give everybody an opportunity to see, you know, the top fighters in the middleweight division. And this is obviously going to bring a lot of exposure to these fighters as well and give them the opportunity to build more of a fan base. Well, it turns out that Paulo Costa actually rejected this. He had no interest in it, and I'm not quite sure why. You know, but Robert Whittaker did state, you know, online, April 10th, April 17th, tomorrow, we are ready. And I love that. You know, already I'm giving Robert Whittaker the advantage because mentally it seems like he's got it done. He doesn't even feel like, it doesn't seem like he needs the extra week. You know, as we all know, there's a main event coming up this month between Cyril Gane and Jairzinho Rosenstrike, and these individuals moved up their fight, so I don't see why Paulo Costa can't do the same. I don't know, maybe in his head he feels like he has to stay on a certain regiment in order to win this fight. Go into the comment section below and let me know what you guys think about that. Tell me why you think that he doesn't want to move up his fight 1 week. If you think about it, that's one less week of torture. You know, that's one more week sooner to glory, and that's actually one more week closer to a bigger paycheck, if you know what I mean. And tell me who you think is going to win this fight. Go to competitiveorigins.com, type in promo code MMA84 so you can get 10% off this Competitive Origins no matter what t-shirt. Thank you for tuning in today, guys. I'm BPC, and remember, you've been competing since conception. Whether you're competing against yourself or others, Competitive Origins.